Hello, welcome back to another throwback rotation video. How's everyone's throwback experience going? I hope it's going well. Today we'll be playing more Midrange Sword, partially because I'm broke and have no vows to craft another deck, but also I sort of thought about making a thing where I try to climb to GM using only sword every throwback, and I mean, this Spirit Sword deck's good, right? It shouldn't be that bad, so I'm in the midst of my GM climb with only sword attempt. Still working on it. I don't have that much time to play. I don't have that much mental energy either, which we'll talk about at some point, but not today. Today I'm showing off this new deck. Well, it's not really new, but this is the list that I've been running recently. Just thought I should make a video to keep the channel active, I guess, and also because I want to showcase my new favorite tech card in Midrange Sword, which is this, Gilnelise. Gilnelise is not really good in this deck. There's a reason why you don't really see people running Gilnelise. It's just not that, she's just not that good in this deck. I mean, she like buffs your board. That's about it. See, in theory, she buffs your board, which is cool. She has Ambush, which helps you get lethal. She has Drain, which gives you a healing where there is Precious Few in this deck. And also she helps you draw cards, and this deck has like one of the worst card draws engines out of the entire meta right now, I think. So in theory she's good, but she's also pretty bad because, I mean, she costs 7. In terms of converting white boards into lethal damage, you just have Despair Celia anyway, which, oops, not this, where is she? Here. Despair Celia anyway, which does the same thing. She just converts your board into damage, but I mean, I don't know, I just personally really like Gilnelise, so I've been shoving her into the deck, and once in a while she wins me a game, and then because of that I feel unable to take her out the deck now, so that's what we're doing. So that's the deck, so let's jump into the games. So today we start off against a Sword. In the Sword mirror we're going second here. Generally going first is heavily favored, I think. Of course it depends on the playing as well as the luck of the draw, but assuming things are relatively even, then I think going first is generally favored. So starting off on the back foot already, which is a bit unfortunate for us. Once again, for our mulligan, we just look for early game cards as well as Aether. Aether is very good on turn 3 because she draws Leisha, which is very powerful in this deck. Opponent drops the Leot here, which is fine. We have Ivory Sword Dance, so we can look towards making use of Leot at some point. It is possible that playing Cyber Cannoneer to try to fight for board might have been better, but I mean, in the end, even if I played Cyber Cannoneer here, it wouldn't have really made a difference with it. So here we go ahead and play the Aether to just draw Alicia. And there's another Leot for my opponent, which we don't really care. Well, we actually do care because Leot's a bit annoying. Normally we do want to use the Ivory Sword Dance to clear the Leot, but unfortunately because there's 2, we don't quite have enough damage of Ivory Sword Dance to clear the Leot, so our best bet is just to make a white board to play around their Ivory Sword Dance. Ivory Sword Dance is a very broken card, so we definitely want to try to play around it. So we go ahead and get rid of the Aether here and hit face. Well, our board has a lot of health, so even Ivory Sword Dance won't clear it, which is the goal. Opponent unfortunately does have Leisha Quick Blader, which is a very strong turn 5 play, especially in the mirror. So they go ahead and trade, and they evolve their Leot as well, which I guess is fine. And then they go ahead and use the Leot to trade, and then they'll use Veiled Reckoning to clear my Leot as well, leaving Nano with the Bane on board. So this is a pretty annoying board. Ivory Sword Dance really won't do a good job clearing this board, so we can't really do that. So I have no choice but to... Well, actually, yeah, Ivory Sword Dance wouldn't have cleared this board. So we have to go ahead and go wide here. Unfortunately, normally you do want to play around Ivory Sword Dance when Leot is on your opponent's field, because getting your opponent buff their Leot while clearing your entire board is not good for you, but in this case I don't really have a good way to play around Ivory Sword Dance, so we sort of have to let them play it here. They do evolve the Leot here, which makes me think they do have Ivory Sword Dance, and there it is. There goes my entire board. My opponent is keeping the ambush, which is fine. We really want to put pressure here and try to force that Leot out of ambush, so we go ahead and use the Apostle. This Apostle does 2 things. One is that, I mean, it's a follower for them to have to deal with, and now they're out of evil points, which makes trading their Liot pretty valuable or pretty tempting. And if you don't trade Liot, maybe they spend their hand trying to clear this Apostle. Next turn we can do something like Liot into Ivory Sword Dance to hopefully clear their board. And we do this, we buff it with the necklace. The necklace is great here. It puts our Apostle at 5 attack, which means that Lisha can't trade into this anymore. And also it does some damage here to make sure that Ivory Sword Dance can clear the Liot if it comes down to that. My opponent plays their Apostle, which is fine. Pick up the Goblet, they're going to use the heal, and they do trade their Liot, so that's one less problem to worry about, so that's good for me. And then since they have a 5 attack follower here on board, we're just going to make use of that by playing Liot. And we use Ivory Sword Dance to clear their Apostle. Of course they could play Latham here, and it would be annoying if they did. And they do have Latham here. Thankfully we are at full health, so we're not super threatened by the Latham. It is definitely annoying though. We got the Gilnelise here, which we don't really want to play right now. You go ahead and use Dragon Knights. The ward should help reduce the incoming damage from Latham. And then we use Percival to clear the Latham as well. There's a Cyber Cannoneer from my opponent. Thankfully a pretty weak turn from them. If they had another Lisha, I might actually be in trouble. There's the Vows from them, which they will use to clear the Siegfried, and then they hit my face, which is fine. We're very healthy here. And then here we have a very nice move here. We have Gilnelise. This is like half the... This is I guess what Gilnelise is in this deck for. We can go ahead and play Gilnelise here, which will buff the Liot. And then we can go ahead and hit face, and then with the Veiled Reckoning we pick up an Assassin with which to heal. Which wishes to hide our Liot again, so we can look towards lethal next turn with this 10 damage on board. Plus the 5 card draw of Gilnelise itself. Worth noting though that Veiled Reckoning should have hit Assembly Droid here. You look at their board, it has 6 damage on board. What they could do here is hit my face with all 6 for 6 damage. They play Celia, Despair Celia for another 6 damage. Despair Celia will summon a Knight, which is a total of 13 damage, and then second Despair Celia has another 4 damage, and a Knight for a total of 18. So we can die to double Despair Celia here, which wanted to play around, we should have hit the Assembly Droid. It's not gonna make a difference whether I have lethal here anyway, because I have 10 damage on board. So honestly, I should have just went for that instead, but for some reason I didn't. So hopefully they don't have double Despair Celia here. They do hit my face, and they do have the Celia here, which it's fine as long as they don't have a second one. And there's Cyber Cannoneer, so we do dodge the second Despair Celia, so not punished thankfully. So we'll go ahead and hit our stuff, but and that's the Veiled Reckoning as well, but we have lethal on board, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's a nice showcase of Gilnelise, I guess. Let's move on to the next game. So we are here for our next game, and we're going first against Blood. Blood is kind of like a black box that I don't really know what is going on. It can be aggro, it can be Wrath, it can be Machina. I don't really know what they have as a range of decks that they can run, so generally I just play like it's aggro because aggro is the problem. Or rather it's a problem for us, so hopefully it's not aggro. They did pass turn 1, which is good. I mean, we'll go ahead and just drop Cyber Cannoneer for tempo. The turn 2 tempo play is quite important, so I'll try to get that on board. And then once again for tempo we'll just play the Octress. And then we just hit their face. At this point we are holding the tempo advantage, so we are trying to get them to trade into us instead of the other way around. Opponent plays the Armored Bat here, which unfortunately we don't get to steal with Octress because we play Octress last turn, but if we draw another Octress here we can steal it. Which we don't, we pick out a Quick Blader instead, which I will go ahead and play, and then just hit face. This is a bit weird, like there is definitely like, well, very reasonable to just keep the Quick Blader. I don't entirely remember why I played the Quick Blader here, but I think I thought that it was important, that's why I did it. Let's Unleash the Nightmare, and then Forest Bat Evo, which I guess would be used to clear our Octress here. And then they do trade out the Armor Bat, so the Quick Blader actually did a bit of work there, protecting my face a little bit. Now they are white though, which we have to deal with. Which we can't deal with. We don't have the tools to deal with a white board in our hand. Nothing like Ivory Sword Dance or anything like that, so we decided to evolve Vayne here. It doesn't deal with their board, but it forces them to deal with mine, which is relatively even, I guess. They do go ahead and trade here. They play a Metal Blade Demon. They still mill a card though, which I don't know if they meant to do or not. And they will go ahead and evolve the Metal Blade Demon as well to clear my vein, but he has done his job, so that's fine. Take a bit of damage here, but we don't really care that much. Pick up the Rapier Master, which is not great, so we just go ahead and just spend this turn clearing that board with the Apostle of Usurpation. Trying to force them to spend their last evil point here is probably ideal. There's the Robo Goblin and Techno Lord, so we gotta look out for Techno Lord now because it does damage. Techno Lord will do damage based on the number of destroy mechana foes your opponent has, which is 7 at this point, so watch out for that. Hopefully they don't have a second Techno Lord is my hope when I played the Leon here, because I mean we just saw one copy. Surely they don't have another, right? So there's the Armored Bat Ward, which is fine. We can go ahead and steal that with Octress. It'll help us go wide, and then if they don't answer the wide board, we can just play Gilnelise to buff the Assembly Droid, which is like pretty interesting. We go ahead and hit the Assembly Droid, I mean the bat here. And then we just play Rapier Master. The goal at this point is just to go wide, so that we have things to buff with Gilnelise. Gilnelise we want to play on turn 9, so at the start of our 10th turn, she would draw us 5 cards, which you can hopefully do something with. That's the Alexandrite Demon from my opponent, Blazing Sapphire as well. And they do have Techno Lord, which will clear my entire board, unfortunately. But we do have a bunch of Assembly Droids, which of course my opponent wouldn't bother trying to clear, because who would? But in this case, we go ahead and knife their follower, and then we just heal ourselves a little bit and play Gilnelise here, which will buff the Assembly Droids for a bunch of damage. Hold our evil point here because there's no reason to spend it now. And then hopefully we'll just have lethal next turn off the draw of Gilnelise. He also force our opponent to mill some cards since their hand is pretty full right now. They do evolve the Metal Blade Demon, which lets them clear my followers. But I just need like 5 damage off this Gilnelise, and I have lethal. We pick up Leod here, which is fine. We can go ahead and evolve the Leod. And then we use Leod to clear their ward. Guild Reckoning can go face. We play the Goblet to heal ourselves, just to turn off Latham's Enhance to accelerate him so that we can trade, and then play Celia's Despair for a nice lethal. A bit of a difficult lethal spot there, but thankfully I found it, so let's move on to the next game. So for our last game for today, we have a game against Dragon, and we are going second. I do like keeping early game cards, but Celia is better off, I feel, for late game, so I just go ahead and toss her back, hopefully try to pick up Rapier Master or Cannoneer or something. Unfortunately, my hand is all 3 costs. Normally, I don't like playing Lucius on turn 1, especially against Dragon when they have big followers late game, which Lucius can be valuable for. But in this case, my early game presence is so non-existent with my entire hand of 3 cost followers that I kind of feel like I have no choice. Someone plays the Lyria, which I guess is interesting. Another 3 cost from the top, so unfortunately we have no play this turn. We just hit face with Lucius. Fulham does play a Draconic Horde and will trade into our Lucius, which is fine for us. Go ahead and pick up the not Aether. We'll go ahead and pick up the Leisha of the Aether here, which we can use later on. And there's the Zui, so that's fine. And another Draconic Horde, so they're probably gonna ramp a ton next turn, which won't be great. Hopefully we can do something about that. We go ahead and play Vows here, pick up the Fatal Spellbound, which we use to clear the Luria. And we also evolve the Aether to buff Vows. Not the best play ever, I don't think, but this hand isn't great either, so I don't know if I could have done anything better. And there's the Masamune, which is fine. We'd rather see Masamune now than on like when they have 10 play points to work with. They do evolve their Masamune here. We'll refund them a ton of PP, and apparently they decide to use Seraphic Blade to clear my Aether, which does leave the Masamune on board. Ideally, I would like to clear this a different way and not waste my Leisha's 5/5 body, but in this case I don't really have a good choice. And then at this point, they're on 8 PP next turn, so they might play Poseidon. And I'm scared of Poseidon, so I decided to just evolve my Quick Blader to hopefully force them to do something about my Quick Blader. so that I can be less worried about their Poseidon. I'm not like 100% sure it actually would have done anything, but I can try my best. We do go ahead and trade Luria here, which is fine. We don't really have anything, unfortunately, to do here. We go ahead and just play the Octress just to pick up some loots. Not the greatest hand ever. We go Latham as well. At this point, we're just going wide and trying to kill them with Gilnelise. Is the goal. We go ahead and buff the Nano and hit their face here. And then for some reason, my opponent decides that, I guess, normally if you're playing against Sword, like, I do have 8 damage on board, but depending on what they get off the Prince of Cocytus, they might be able to come back next turn and I can only have 8 damage on board. I don't have evil points either, so I can't like do something stupid thing like Quick Blader Evil. From their point of view, probably at this point the only lethal I would have is like... what would I even have? The Usurper, the Usurpation into Necklace, I guess. And then Celia, I guess, will be my lethal options, but thankfully we do have the secret tag of Gilnelise, which so we can just murder my opponent here. We drew Celia here, but let's just ignore that. Yeah, this is Gilnelise video, so that's it for this game. So that's all the games I have for you today. It was mainly just a showcase of Gilnelise tech, I guess. I'm still learning this mid-range sword deck. It's pretty hard to play so far, I think, so still learning it, slowly climbing up. When I reach GM Grandmaster, I'll probably make like another last video on this deck, but until then, I guess I'll be playing with Gilnelise because Gilnelise is fun. The last game was a bit iffy, I guess, but I had another game against Rune, but then I realized my opponent missed lethal, so I couldn't use that game anymore, so we have to go with this game instead. So yeah, hopefully it gives you some idea of how Gilnelise plays in this deck. It's not that good. Like, I'll just say it, it's not that good. But if it looks fun to you, you can go ahead and try it yourself, see how it goes, and that's it for today. See you next time, bye bye.